Hello, my name is Shaba Shams, and I am a consultant, a speaker, and a author of The Power of Elite Interviews with 15 plus years of corporate training, team building, leadership development. More recently, we have been affected by COVID-19 that made us change a little bit the way we do things, especially working, especially connecting, and more importantly for leaders, CEOs, corporate executives, and so on, and business owners, how we manage our teams. Of course, under lockdown, a lot of us have been pushed into working remotely. And I do recall in April of 2020, I believe it was April, I held a happy hour session with Care Florida, where I was actually talking about how to be productive working from home, how to move your work from work to telework. And of course, it might be a little challenging for a lot of people. Those of us who have been used to working from home and being organized and structured and have a sense of urgency and priority and understand that working from home, it's not in any way a vacation. The question now is, what about those who do not have this skill, who don't really have the ability to control themselves, structure themselves, be disciplined in a way? What do we do at that point? So as a lot of us, entrepreneurs, corporate executives, leaders, CEOs, and so on, are living in this situation now where some of the work have moved to remote locations. So how do you manage? How do you manage a remote team? So the first thing is actually the structure. You need to build a structure. Consistency and structures are very, very important. You can have a structure or a foundation or a pillars, but if it's not consistent, then it becomes a little shaky. So the first thing is you build the structure with your team, that nothing really has changed, that going from work to telework and moving into a remote location doesn't mean that the expectations have changed or that the work has changed. The structure that is there remains. Maybe the few things that might change is saving time on the commute, because you don't have to drive hours to get to the office. Your commute is a little bit reduced, but other than that, I don't see a lot of the changes happening. So the second one, of course, mentioned already, is consistency. If you do any good thing, if you do it one time and you don't do it over and over and over again, it's not going to last. The result won't be there. So consistency is the mother of all successes. And once you build the structure, you have to be consistent with it. And of course, set up expectations to your team. The amount of work, the productivity, the expectations should be there, and they should be clear. I think a lot of people fail at meeting their goals because they do not set up any expectation, if nothing. And then a powerful schedule, a schedule of when things need to be, whether in person or remotely speaking. If you are used to, for instance, having your team meet at a certain time, set it up in your schedule and do not change that. Being remote doesn't mean that you have to change the expectations and the scheduling important items of the meetings or the reporting or things like that. So it's really important to build a power schedule. You look at your day, you look at your week, you look at your month, your quarter, and even a year, and then you set up those expectations within your schedule. You lock it in and you don't, change it. And then, of course, benchmarks at checkpoints during the day, during the week, during the month. You have to have different moments during the day where you tell yourself, okay, by this time, I need to be done with this task. By this time, I need to look at the report and see how my staff, no matter where they are performing. By this time, you need to have completed your task, your training, etc. So these benchmarks actually help people remain on tasks and hopefully meet that expectation. Of course, a lot of people create an environment of punishments, like punitive. I was like going between the two words, punitive punishment, when really accountability comes before that. So you need to create a sense of we are accountable. We are accountable to those expectations before you start thinking about punishment. So the environment you create in a remote space shouldn't be any different from working in the office, coming to the office. So as a leader, as an executive, as a manager, as a CEO, as a business owner, you have to have a good understanding that you can actually maximize and optimize the work of your employees. Once you have these pillars in place, it starts, like I said, with the structure, consistency, expectations. You have a powerful schedule and a power schedule, and then benchmark everything and set checkpoints for you to assess what has been done and what fell between the cracks. So these are my 5 takeaway on how to manage a remote team, as we live in a time where we all have to manage remote teams, but you have to keep them motivated, you have to keep them productive. Otherwise, your business and your organization is going to go down the drain. So this is Shaba Shams, and I hope these 5 items on how to manage your remote team are very helpful. And I hope you can also join me on other platforms, on social media and whatnot, for more discussions on leadership development, building teams, and how you can set your organization for success. This is Shaba, and I'm seeing you on the other side. Salam.